I'm pleased to close out the opening plenary with a quick Connect the Dots presentation that'll hopefully set the stage for the rest of the summit that you have ahead of you and get us started off on the right foot. As I mentioned, the collaborative launched in October of 21 with the mission to help build capacity among our post-secondary partners to accelerate progress on our common priorities of student success. We believe that when we come together to address these common priorities and challenges, we can accomplish more faster than any of us can achieve on our own. Through collaboratives, convenings like the Student Success Summit and communities of practice, these allow us to tap into the expertise of all of our colleagues in Kentucky and to work toward that same goal. At last year's summit, we shared the Kentucky Student Success Framework, which helps connect the dots across and through each of our priority topics. I love a good framework. It helps me put big buckets underneath the big scopes of work and then not feel so overwhelmed and fatigued by the various projects that we may have going on. We know that everything that we're doing is building upon itself and reinforcing the next step in this framework. So connecting the path, connecting it from high school to college, from college to college, from employer to college. All of those connection points are important and need to be intentional. Charting the path and helping our students with career exploration, degree planning, and support to reach those early academic milestones. Continuing the path through proactive academic advising so students can stay on track, and also providing that ecosystem of support to address non-academic barriers when they arise. And then finally, completing the path, which ensures that all Kentucky graduates have developed the most essential skills that are needed for success in their future careers and beyond. The priorities of this year's summit hopefully are clear to you. Mental health, transfer, gateway course success, basic needs, and our Graduate Profile Academy's work of mapping essential skills across our curriculum. The how of approaching these different important priorities is going to be addressed in our opening plenary tomorrow, looking at an equity by design framework, as well as a continuous improvement approach to our change. I'm going to highlight why these other priorities are so critical for us as we work toward our 60 by 30 attainment goal. Transfer. Transfer is one of our most critical and compelling issues. Currently, for every 500 Kentucky students that begin an Associate of Arts or Associate of Science degree at a community college in Kentucky, about 115 of those students will have transferred to a university within 3 years, and and of that initial cohort, 63 will complete a bachelor's degree another 4 years later. Another way of looking at this pipeline is through a cohort analysis of what happened to the class of 2018 and looking ahead at our current students. So there are about 30,000 students that are in an Associate of Arts or Associate of Science program in the 2021 year. About a quarter transferred to our institutions, to our universities within 3 years. And of those that transferred, 54% successfully completed their bachelor's degree within 4 years. As I look at our opportunities to help more students transition and ultimately complete that goal of a bachelor's degree, you can see our 4,200 students that didn't yet transfer, but that are still working on their path to an associate degree. So those students are still working and we want to help them complete and be successful. We also have 2,400 students who completed an associate degree and did not transfer to a university. So that is a huge opportunity for those students to actually experience the huge ROI of their education by completing a bachelor's. And then we also have about half of our students that successfully transferred to an institution, but have not yet completed their bachelor's degree within 4 years. So we're definitely digging down deep into the data to understand where we have our greatest areas for leverage. So I already mentioned that about half of students will complete that bachelor's degree within 4 years. That's comprised of all of your transfer students, half of which have already completed that associate's, and the other half who transferred prior to completing their associate's. This is the most compelling data point in my mind, that when a student completes their associate degree prior to transfer, they have a 70% bachelor's completion rate within 4 years. That is very strong, and that is a very compelling academic milestone for them to hit. I know Dr. Thompson always loves to point out when Kentucky is beating the national average, which we are up in our transfer students, so good job. We also know that transfer success is an equity issue. Nationally, students of color and students from families with lower income do not transfer at the same rates as their white counterparts and students from higher income families. But the good news is that there's a strong connection between those early momentum metrics and transfer success and bachelor's completion. Now, all of these slides will be in the impact exchange, but I'm just going to point out or highlight here. So for Hispanic students that complete an associate degree, they have an 18 times more likely to transfer and 9 times more likely to complete a bachelor's degree than their Hispanic peers that did not complete an associate degree. So not only are these early momentum metrics critical for all student success, they do an even better job of closing those equity gaps for students of color. So we've been working very diligently over the last 6 months with one of our partners, SOVA, to talk to our transfer coordinators and transfer specialists, to talk to our provosts and presidents about what is our current state picture around transfer? What do we need to do in Kentucky to help strengthen transfer success for students? And we've come up with 3 really core essential components that will really drive the strategy moving forward. 1, center student needs. 2, prioritize institutional collaboration and partnerships. And 3, remove obstacles. I hope that is clear. Okay, so the next priority that is a focus of the summit is gateway course success. So this is defined in a lot of different ways. So what this data is representing is gateway course success is referred to as students that are completing college level math and English within their first year. I know that is a high bar, and nationally only 16% of community college students are able to meet this milestone of gateway course success. In Kentucky, we're doing better. 21% of our community college students and 44% of our public university students complete both college level math and English in their first year. But we also have a huge opportunity. If we look at the 19,000 students that were first-time students and did not reach this important academic milestone, which is a significant factor for future academic success. We know that early momentum has a positive impact on completing, on transferring, on completing your bachelor's degree. It also has a huge impact on first and second year retention, as well as completion of an associate's degree or a credential within 3 years. We also know that all students can succeed in college level courses. Research shows that even our lowest academically prepared students, when placed in a college level course compared to a developmental course, they are much more likely to succeed in a college level course. 43%, so the GPA of less than 1.9, so same students, same GPA, placed in college level course, 43% succeeded. Placed in a developmental course, 12% succeeded. And that is regardless of, that is not because they had amazing co-requisite support and all sorts of other pieces. They were simply testing probably institutional mindset. Can I succeed? And that is why it is so important that from an institutional perspective, we know we have to get ready for these students that are coming to us. We've admitted them to our colleges and we want them to be successful. What can we do to support them? We've been doing a lot in Kentucky around gateway course success. We've made huge gains over the last several years, and we have a strong policy that supports our work, but we don't want to leave any students behind. We know that gateway course completion is an equity issue. You can see gateway course success in math and English within our community college system, as well as our public universities. Specifically, we have major gaps in math, and specifically for students of color compared to their white peers, as well as adult learners compared to traditional age or 18 to 20-year-old students. These populations and this success factor is critical to reach our 60 by 30 attainment goal, and ultimately for these students to be successful in reaching their career goals. There are many priorities in Gateway Student Success, and through our work together, we'll be able to identify what is the right approach that we need to take in Kentucky. What can we do to increase the success of students? I know that all of our campuses have been working hard on placement and how do we help students find the right level and the right supports that are needed. And also taking a good, important look at pedagogy and course design strategies to help ensure students are even more successful. This is what I really love. This slide really takes us back to the concept of the framework. It's not just the academic barriers that get in the way of Gateway course success. It's really recognizing that all of these important pieces of student success are interconnected. And so when we connect our strategies across the pipeline, across the framework, then we're able to multiply the impact that we can have on students. So what are other important factors in Gateway course success? A student's career purpose, a student's understanding of what pathway they want to go down. What's the right math that I need to be taking? A student feeling belonging on campus, feeling like I'm worthy and I know that I can do this. My college believes in me and is here to support me. And also having support for the basic needs when non-academic barriers arise. Okay, so I've kind of tipped my hat a little bit about basic needs. This is one of, I think it is one of the most important issues that we are dealing with. And we know that more than half of all college students are struggling to have their basic needs met. This includes food security, housing security, transportation, childcare, technology, mental and physical health care. Some consequences of having basic needs insecurity includes more likely to drop a class, to fail a class, and for students that pause their education for financial reasons, only 20% will come back and complete that degree. While basic needs security is certainly experienced by students in all income ranges, students who are least likely to have the social capital to get financial support in an emergency are those receiving Pell Grants, the federal grant program for students with the greatest financial need. In our community college system, that's nearly 60% of students. We know the power and value of higher education to create a pathway out of poverty, and yet, as Dr. Thompson referenced, we know we've also had declining enrollment among our adult learners throughout the pandemic and among our students with lower income. Basic needs insecurity is inherently an equity issue. Colleges and universities focused on eliminating institutional performance gaps among students of color and students with lower income must create equitable conditions for students to succeed when non-academic barriers arise. National research shows that students of color are more likely to experience basic needs insecurity and are less likely to seek university supports than their white peers with the same challenges. While we know basic needs impact academic success and retention, the ROI of investing in the basic needs of students leads directly to increased completion and economic mobility for our students. We know the need is great and resources are limited, but not all barriers are financial. Some are informational. Many students don't access basic needs resources because they don't think that they're eligible, they think other students need them more, or they just aren't sure how to access them. And of course, many more are not aware that they exist. So our goal, and through the pathway, continue the path work at the summit, we will be working about how do we create this ecosystem and early support for students. We also know that there is a positive connection for when students are able to access public benefits. As I mentioned, about 60% of KCTCS students are Pell eligible. Only 14% receive public benefits. Now, when students that are on public benefits complete their degree, 80% are either continuing their education for another credential or degree, or they're employed and earning over 200% of the federal poverty line. So this is a wonderful opportunity for financial self-sufficiency for individuals who may need public benefits to help them get through their college education. We also found in our data that of the 400 and some thousand individuals in Kentucky that are receiving public benefits, only about 8% have an associate degree or higher. So that is another very important population to consider as we want to create pathways to financial self-sufficiency for our community and our state. This year, we're working with an action network that is comprised of 40 to 50 stakeholders across the state that are all focused on how do we increase access to basic needs supports for students, and how do we increase access to post-secondary education for individuals receiving state benefits. Really excited about this work, and we'll have this report with recommendations and then the following implementation planning that will come around May. So that is all that I have as far as prepping us to go out and do some great work in the rest of our pathways. Just a few PSAs. Don't forget that inside the Impact Exchange are all of the materials and resources that you need for the summit. That includes infographics on these priority issues. That includes data dashboards disaggregated by campus so that you can look at your own data. And of course, it includes the presentations from all of our speakers. I think that that's all that I have. I know that if you are doing the Chart the Path Gateway Course Success work, you'll stay in this room. Otherwise, if you're in one of the other 3 paths, you'll go back to those 212 rooms closer to registration. Thank you all.